Welcome back to Apple Addiction. Apple is playing in every tech field. Either it's mobile phone or a laptop, Apple designed everything perfectly with its significant features. Apple MacBook Pro is one of the well-known Apple products, and we will highlight some features of the upcoming MacBook Pro in this video. Apple MacBook Pro was launched in 2006. Until today, many new generations of it were launched after it in different sizes, starting from 13-inch to 17-inch. Let's see what Apple will bring in 2021 generation. But before that, make sure to like this video and subscribe our channel, along with the bell icon, to get the latest updates before anyone else. The 14-inch MacBook Pro is a rumored laptop that could replace the 13-inch model with a new design and features. It may include mini LED for the display, have slimmer bezels, and a more squared-off design. The next generation M series processor will make this one of the most powerful MacBooks ever made. Mini LED display. 16-inch MacBooks have a wide variety of display features, along with the high resolution. 14-inch MacBook Pro 2021 will be same as 13-inch, but the fact of 14-inch is the Apple will reduce the bezels so that a 14-inch display will be fitted in a 13-inch chassis. It will also not affect the actual size of the MacBook, and we can expect a higher resolution along with upgraded brightness that should be upper level from 500 nits. As we know that OLED displays are expensive to implement in laptops, but these displays can be seen in iPhone 12 series. Since the iPhone 12 series is a flat-edge series, so it will also be hard for Apple to implement it in the MacBooks. Apple has designed a mini LED display that is a midpoint of the LCD and micro LED. These displays are already implemented by Apple in iPad Pro 2021 that was seen earlier this year. But a drawback of this display was that the iPad was a bit thicker than before, so it will be a hard task to implement in the MacBook Slimmer displays. The refreshed MacBook lineup is expected to drive mini LED use industry-wide thanks to high demand. New designs combined with Apple Silicon and mini LED may increase demand by as much as 20% year over year. New M series processor. Apple is expected to launch the new series of M processor in its upcoming devices. We are more likely to see the Apple's M1X processor in its MacBook Pro 14-inch 2021. From the start, Apple is developing its own chips, which also one reason of Apple being expensive. Apple M1X processor is a really powerful processor, capable of supporting and running heavy softwares without any issue. Apple's custom processors have powered iPhone and iPad for years, and now they are being used in the Mac. The late 2020 13-inch MacBook Pro uses the Apple-made M1 chip, which improves performance over the 10th generation Intel chips in the early 2020 equivalents. The version of the M1 in the new MacBook Pro has an 8-core CPU and an 8-core GPU. Apple says the new notebook is up to 2.8 times faster, with 5 times faster graphics than its early 2020 counterpart. The 14-inch MacBook Pro would likely include either a high-powered M1X chip or a new Apple Silicon like an M2 updated for 2021. A predictive benchmark for the M1X chip said it may have a 12-core CPU and a 16-core GPU. It could feature 256 execution units, rather than the M1's 128, and may be able to operate 2 external displays instead of just 1. More ports. One of the problems of MacBook is it has lesser ports, because of which people face issues in connecting more devices to their MacBooks. But I think this issue is going to be resolved in the upcoming series of the MacBook Pro. Even if the chassis updates are more minor in scale than Quo has made them out to be, there are other tweaks in the works that will make the 2021 refresh a major update. Quo believes Apple is going to add additional ports to the MacBook Pro models, though he has not specified which ports these might be. Apple in 2016 rolled out a new MacBook Pro design that did away with all ports except for USB-C ports and the 3.5mm headphone jack, but included a MagSafe connector, Thunderbolt ports, USB-A ports, an HDMI port, an SD card reader, and a 3.5mm headphone jack. The next generation MacBook Pro models are expected to feature an SD card reader as one of the ports that will be added, providing an easier way for people to transfer photos captured with cameras, drones, and other similar devices. Design. Apple has both updated 14 and 16-inch MacBook Pro models in the works. The 14-inch model will replace the current 13.3-inch model, while the 16-inch model will replace the existing 16-inch version that's available. For the revamped 14-inch model, it's likely that the overall casing size will remain similar to the 13-inch MacBook Pro, with the increase in display size coming largely from a reduction in the top and side bezels of the machine. There may be a slight increase in physical size, however. When Apple transitioned from the 15.4-inch MacBook Pro to the 16.1-inch MacBook Pro, the physical sizing went from 13.75 by 9.48 inches to 14.09 by 9.68 inches. and we could see something similar with the 14-inch MacBook Pro. Both of these new models that are coming are expected to feature some notable design changes. Apple analyst Ming-Chi Kuo believes the new MacBook Pro models will feature a flat-edge design that's similar to the iPhone 12, with no curved edges like current models. Gurman has corroborated Kuo's report, but his information suggests that the flat-edge design may not be too much of a deviation from the current design. He says that the upgraded models will look similar to current models, but will feature minor design changes, so we'll need to wait to see just how significant these changes to the overall design turn out to be. The updated MacBook Pro models will use the same heat pipe design used by the current 16-inch MacBook Pro model. Apple revamped the thermal system of the 16-inch MacBook Pro, increasing the size of the heat pipe, adding thermal pads, and increasing the size of the heatsink by 35%. This new thermal system will allow for increased computing power thanks to improved airflow and heat management, which bodes well for the performance of the Apple Silicon chips that are expected to be included. Return of the MagSafe. Along with additional ports, the new machines are expected to bring MagSafe back to the Mac lineup. MagSafe connectors were used for MacBook Pro models from 2006 to 2016, when Apple replaced the MagSafe connector with a USB-C port. But now it looks like we're returning to a MagSafe design. Apple MagSafe was a more reliable feature in order to protect the charging port of the device as well as the charger. Just need to bring closer to the charging port, and it connects automatically with the port and start to charge the device. It can be expected from the rumors that Apple may reintroduce the MagSafe in its upcoming MacBook Pro 14 inches 2021. The MagSafe charging functionality is expected to allow for faster charging speeds than are available with USB-C, and given that Apple is swapping over to a new charging technology, we can expect the forthcoming MacBook Pro models to ship with a MagSafe charging cable and accompanying power adapter. No touch bar. Apple introduced a touch bar in the 2016 Macs, providing a small OLED display where physical function keys used to be located. Apple had grand plans for the touch bar and envisioned it being an adaptable mini display that offered customizable controls and different functions on a per-app basis. But the touch bar never seemed to catch on with consumers. Now it's time for the revival of the physical function keys instead of the touch bar, since it was much more demanding instead of the touch bar, and pretty more responsive instead of the touch bar. It has also been confirmed from the rumors that are spread about the upcoming MacBook Pro 2021. Kuo says that the touch bar will be removed in the 2021 MacBook Pro models and will be replaced with physical function keys. Gurman has confirmed that Apple has tested versions of the MacBook Pro that do not have a touch bar. Batteries. Mac Rumors in June discovered evidence of the new 14 and 16-inch MacBook Pro models in a Chinese regulatory database. Apple supplier Sunwoda Electronic shared filings for two batteries that appear to be appropriate for use in future MacBook Pro models. The first, designed for a 16-inch machine, features an identifier of A2527 and is rated at 8,693 mAh or 11.45 volts, which is similar to the 8,790 mAh / 11.36 volt battery in the current 16-inch MacBook Pro. This suggests no raw battery life gains for the 16-inch MacBook Pro, but the Apple Silicon chip is likely to introduce improvements. Pricing. Price of the Apple products has always been a topic of discussion in the market. The 14-inch MacBook Pro could be more expensive than the current 13-inch. Leaker Dylan DKT says that there will be a notable increase in price for the 14-inch model over the entry-level $1,299 13-inch model. The new model is expected to be priced around the current high-end 13-inch model, which is the model that it will be replacing. The high-end 13-inch MacBook Pro starts at $1,799. The 16-inch M1X MacBook Pro is expected to be priced the same as the current 16-inch MacBook Pro, which starts at $2,399. For more information, like this video, and make sure to subscribe to the channel along with the bell icon to get latest updates first. See you next time!